I'm back and I have one of your Let's Not Meet stories that I'm nervous to read. This says, my first love was an abusive sociopath. I'm finally sharing my story about the worst man I've ever met. I just had a daughter and I've gotten engaged to a wonderful, deserving man, and it reminded me of how far I've come. This starts when I was a junior in high school. My family and I went on a hike at a local hiking spot, and that's where I met M. He said I was really hot and he was wearing this sun hat with brown curls poking out. His eyes were blue and green. I had a boyfriend at the time, but if anything, I thought he could be a good friend to hang out with. He went to my school, he had his own car, none of my other friends had a car yet, so he just somehow became my best friend. We spent about 2 weeks together before he asked me out, and I broke up with my boyfriend somewhere in those 2 weeks, so I said yes. We were together almost every day anyways, and he made me happy at first. We both had our first times together. I lied and told my parents I was taking a train to my best friend's house who lived an hour away, but M picked me up at the train station instead, and I spent the night at his house. This happened a lot after that first time, but his parents never knew, so I would just hide out in his room. The first time I realized something was off with him was when he was just staring off into the distance one day. We were laying in his bed and he just switched or took his mask off. He started staring at me when I noticed his face change. It was so creepy. He just stares at me even when I'm asking what's wrong. His eyes were so dark, which was weird because he had light eyes and he looked empty. He then says, "I'm really different." Me confused, I ask, "What are you talking about?" Then he just stares at me. He ends up saying, "I think I want to die." And I remember crying because I felt like he was just broken and I wanted to help him. The second time was when he cheated on me with his best friend's sister. When I asked him why, he just said he felt like he needed more. He said he loved me, and he even said the excuse, "She likes you too." She even asked if he would want a threesome. I was dumbfounded. It was the 4th of July, and I don't know why, but I let him talk me into going back to his house. At first, I went with the intention of breaking up with him, but then I got in the car and he put on this mask of caring and sorry and sincere. He made me trust him again. He bought me an expensive watch to say how sorry he was for cheating on me. He would say things like, "No one knows you like I do. They will never love you. We have the strongest love. Your family's toxic. They don't know you like I do. Your friends are stupid. They just use you or want to sleep with you," etc. These things were comforting for a while because my family was toxic, and while I do believe they love me, he used it as a tactic to isolate me. I loved thinking that one person loved me and wanted me and no one else could take that from me. 6 months in at this point, and he hits me for the first time. Fuck. We were on his bed and he was taking a video of the rain outside and he was laughing and making weird noises during it. I told him to stop, which he does. Then he goes to do something and hits his head on the shutters that he had on his window. I started laughing like, haha, he hit his head, so funny. He proceeded to smack me in the face. I just remember sitting in silence with my hands over my face. He tried to remove my hands and I'm just in complete shock. He gets frustrated with me and leaves the room, and still at this point, I wasn't ready to leave. We were constantly breaking up and getting back together. He was serial cheating on me. Around 7 or 8 months, he promised to stop cheating and just be there for me. He deleted all social media and made me as well. I had to tell him everything and everyone I was hanging out with, and vice versa. I really wanted to go to a concert and we had broken up again, but I was still his girl, so he had to go. Fast forward to the concert, I was in the mosh dancing and he was in the back because he didn't care for the music. Some guys started dancing with me and grabbing me, and I let it happen. Right before the concert ended, I ran out of the crowd to find M and leave. Long story short, the guy follows me and M watched me tell him to leave me alone. The entire ride home with M, he's pissed. He won't talk to me and he just generally looks like he's gonna kill me. We get to my house and he just says, "Get out of the car." I don't, and I say, "Let's talk about this." He then gets out of the car and slams my door open. He unbuckles the seatbelt, drags me by my feet out of the car, my head hits the curb and I start kicking. He then puts me in a chokehold and drags me to my front yard, choking me out. He's saying, "How dare you cheat on me, and I knew you were a whore." Mind you, I can't breathe and my limbs start to feel fuzzy. I bite his arm and he runs to his car and leaves. He took my phone with him. I start screaming and crying and running after his car. I'm having a full breakdown. It had been 3 months of this behavior and I think I finally hit a breaking point. I run to my guy friend's house about 5 minutes away. I've never even been there before. He comes home and I sob to his mom about everything and he takes me to get my phone. When I get to his house, I have to throw rocks at his bedroom window. He comes down acting like he didn't do anything wrong, refuses to give me my phone because I had re-downloaded Snapchat. Eventually he gets mad that my friend drove me there and all my guy friends want is sex, blah blah. A few weeks later, I was sleeping in his bed and pulls out a large hunting knife and starts waving it around him. He then charges me and jumps on top of me. I'm laying on my stomach, so he's straddling my back. He starts dragging the knife on my butt and then puts me in a chokehold and is teasing the blade across my throat. I start to feel a sting and I scream, "Oh my God." His parents were home, so he stops immediately telling me to shut the fuck up. He said that no one would help me anyways and he could do whatever he wanted to me and no one loved me like he did. I just remember thinking that he was abusing me, but he loved me. Was it really that bad if he still loved me? How I wish I could go back and hug younger me and tell her that she doesn't deserve it. This is a longer story, so I'm going to cut it into 2 parts, so tune in for the next part in my next video.